business. First one on there is discuss time clocks. Bethany?
I know there was been some complaints about offices staying open up here at the courthouse, what started this discussion, so. Whatever y'all think about that, how we need to approach and handle that situation.
Anybody?
I think we ought to set some kind of standard hours. Everybody expects you to be up here till 5 o'clock every day, like any other
You
business.
can't do that.
We can't set,
No,
courthouse hours.
no, you cannot.
Pass-
Every elected official, I've got all the AG opinions if you look at it. Like we're open 8 to 4, we stay open through lunch because our landmen, who are most of the people that come in, want us to be open during lunch because they don't want to kill an hour in Roby. So that's why we do that. And actually, we're here 8 to 4:30, but we close, put everybody out at 4 so we can close the day. Take the trash out, clean the office, and on Fridays we do 12 to 1. So, or 12 to 1:30, just depending on how long it takes us to get everything done. So mine get 40 hours a week. We do the time clock already.
They don't have to be up here every single hour. The courthouse is open. There's several people that cover each office, including elected officials.
No, I don't, I don't know, Kevin. I mean, when you don't have a hand, are you on the maintainer? Because,
We work all the time, but our hands aren't working when somebody calls and stuff to do.
well,
all
I'm
kinds
not
of stuff.
gonna get into it with you. I have one full-time hand, and the reason we did 8 to 4 is because if somebody's out sick or whatever, I don't wanna change my hours for that. I can't pay overtime. I'm up here a lot more hours than that, so, but I can't pay my hand overtime.
You don't have to be up here every hour.
No, I don't, but I can't when I'm going to school or when I'm out doing stuff, then I can't. But I'm not, I did my office hours to suit the people that need to come into my office. They want me to be open during lunch so they can run up here and get a birth certificate. My landmen don't want me to close during lunch because, I mean, they have an hour in Roby to kill. They want to come in, they usually get here about 10 or so. They want me to be open during lunch so they can work their lunch and they can leave it whenever they get their work done and go home. So that's what we did. When it's early voting, we're open 8 to 5. Every day, everybody gets 9 hours. When it's election day, I'm up here at 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning
So-
till whenever at night.
So what does, AG opinion say about that?
It says that each elected official is in charge of their own office, just like y'all are in charge of your own hands. Wait, y'all work, y'all aren't 8 to 5, y'all are 10 hours a day,
I
4
think
days
we're
a
talking
week.
about setting courthouse hours, not, if you wanna set your office at a certain hour, that's up to you. But I
Well, then
think
how are you gonna set courthouse hours?
Well, you're not following the courthouse procedures, you know.
That's still trying to set my office hours.
I don't, that's right, you can't set individual office hours.
No, I mean,
To help everybody understand this a little bit, all the secretaries, full-time, part-time, or at least the full-time, are on salary. Y'all can change that. You can put it to an hourly, you put in your time clocks. If the office closes at 3 o'clock, they've got full-time help. If they leave at 3, their paycheck stops at 3. You can do that.
We give these people full-time help to keep the courthouse open all the time, in my opinion.
I'm just trying to clarify if
They're
that's
not
correct,
working.
but if you're gonna change anything, which would be time clock and or hourly versus salary, you have to do it now.
We've already talked about doing away with the
salary,
salary.
and then you're allowed to pay overtime.
Yeah.
so y'all gonna allow overtime then? Because I mean, you know, this year alone,
We don't really budget them to do completely your job for you too.
I'm not,
I mean,
Kevin, you're paying your road foreman $35,000 a year. And my understanding was because when y'all did that and you weren't here then, was because they do a bunch of your job for you. And they're not doing my job, they're not doing my job for me, but when we're open for early voting, they have to be here 8 to 5, and when we do elections, somebody has to be here, I cannot do that on my own. I don't know what y'all think happens on election
We
elections.
can budget during election for overtime, we don't have a problem with that, just tell us how much you need for overtime for that.
Yeah, so I mean, we never have paid overtime.
I don't have a problem with overtime for election time.
I'll make a motion to do away with all salary positions besides elected officials.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Is this clear with everybody? We know what we're doing.
So are we not gonna do time clocks? If we do time clocks, then everybody has to,
I think there needs to
Clock
be
in.
maybe one exception, and that's for the senior citizens. We have a part-time
You can't,
salary person, I believe. Is
If
that
you
right?
do it for one, you have to do it for all. I don't think you can.
Well, I don't know how you would, that would be I don't know how you'd set her pay then.
so we're gonna have to do time clocks is my understanding. And I looked into Time Clock Plus, and so that's kind of what we'll go with, me and Gina's software. It'll integrate with OpenGov, and it's like a one-time fee of $7,000 and annually somewhere from $4,600 to $5,000.
For a time clock or where you can clock in on your computer when you
Well,
get to the
either
office?
one, you can do clock in your computer, you can clock in on an iPad, you can clock in on your phone, it'll cover anything you need. So it'll work good for what we've got, since we've got hands out in on the roads that are not, sometimes don't go to their barn. I know Kevin's, he's way out there, so, but we can make it work, and then I'll keep up with everybody's time.
Is that in the proposed budget? Will that be an addition?
No.
No, but we can add it, I mean, we've got the money to do
I
that.
don't care much about the time clocks, I care about, we need to fix the problem up here at the courthouse. People come up here all the time and the offices aren't open.
Well, I think the time clocks will fix all the problems.
Won't with the elected officials that aren't here when their
Well,
offices are never open.
Well, I mean, that'll take care of it, because if you're not working your 40 hours a month, you get paid your 40 hours, and I
Some of
think
them don't even have full time, but their offices are.
the time clocks will handle that, so.
Any other discussion? All right, item number 2, discuss comp time, which I think these tie hand in hand, so. Mr. Martin, I think you were the one that wanted this one on there, so.
Yeah, me and Gina's talked about that, and Gina's come up with a couple ideas, so I'm gonna let her voice her opinion on this.
Okay. Here's your current handbook policy. Here's a suggestion to make a few changes to the overtime calculations and comp time. Okay. First of all, as far as comp time is in lieu of paying overtime. And if we give, the bottom line is it has to be documented through payroll on a timesheet. A timesheet is a legal binding document according to the Department of Labor. And so a person does not have earned comp time if it's not on a timesheet through my office. So first of all, if anybody has comp time, we need to make sure that it's properly documented, that we're not paying them the overtime, we're gonna dock it to comp time on the timesheets. When that employee uses that comp time, again, it also needs to be documented again on the timesheet as they've used their comp time. That needs to be tracked, in my opinion, through my office, through payroll. So therefore, it shows, I can give the court a report of who has comp time and how much, as well as we're required to give that to the employee as well, by way of either a monthly statement and or on their pay stubs, so that they can track it. Our current handbook policy says that an employee can only carry an amount of 40 hours at any one time. And It must be used within 90 days, or the department must pay out of their budgeted line item. Which for you guys in the precincts, I mean, y'all have part-time monies that y'all can pull that from to pay that out relatively easily, but the other offices do not. They're budgeted for their exact salary limit, and so they're kind of stuck. And there's, not saying that there's a lot of overtime in some of these offices, but there are times like Pat's brought to your attention when she's doing voting, or she's preparing for early voting, sometimes her assistant gets a little overtime, which we have been tracking his, because she has him clock in through a time clock that reports to her. She knows exactly when they hit her office. It sends a thing to her, what is it called?
Apple Watch, yeah.
Apple Watch, whatever. So hers is, GPS tracked, that she knows exactly where it is when he clocked in and clocked out.
And I do turn it in to Gina, and we sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we turn in his time sheet that Gina requests, we also turn in the sheet where he clocks in and out every week.
Yeah.
So she can track, and I'm not tracking his comp time, she is.
Yeah, I kinda checked with the other offices, because there's some that I don't get timesheets for, but I have confirmed with Becky and Angie, John Lou, all of them. Their employees are keeping a handwritten timesheet, and they're, been manually keeping up with it, which Stacy's now shared hers with me, so I'm now tracking hers. Joy, on behalf of the judges, she gives me her time, I'm tracking all of her time, paid time off, vacation, everything as well, so, with that being said, I think 40 hours is too small to allow them to carry. I'd like to lift it to 80, and it also says must be used within 90 days. According to the Department of Labor, because that's overtime, it has to be either paid to that employee, or the comp time needs to be used within the 26 pay periods in which it was earned. That's a long length of time, and it would could potentially cross from one budget to another. I think would make a mess for us to do it, so I think it would be easier to do the 90 days, and if they haven't used it, we need to fight back from them.
We can use either our overtime or comp time together.
Yeah, and then, I mean, might need to confer with Becky on this one, but instead of that line item saying part-time, maybe change the wording, just change the wording to say part-time and overtime, since that seems to be kind of the way it's been utilized. That wouldn't be a problem. But there again, I mean, that helps you guys, but it doesn't fix me to where I have a way, I mean, I'm gonna use Johnny Lou for example. Her budget's really small and tight, and her numbers are perfectly matched to exactly what, according to the salary. So she doesn't have another line item to pull if she were to pay Georgie some overtime. Nor do any of the other offices, really. So we need to either add a budget line item to cover that.
You could. The only thing I'm thinking, in the courthouse, there's really not, comp time can be comp time. That's not an issue. There's no reason for another line item for overtime. The only place I can see it's in the sheriff's office and with the
Yeah,
hands,
sheriff's
because
office-
they're in lieu of
yeah.
if they're shorthanded.
Yeah.
Well,
We're
Sheriff's
gonna have to
office-
add it to mine, because the commissioners just said for me to
Well, no,
pay.
they will do it separate for your
Okay.
corrections.
In,
No,
in our handbook, we do have an exception for law enforcement and pay in overtime.
Yeah.
And they have the same option, but I can tell you right now, and I don't know, y'all wanna back me up, they can't, he runs too short-handed. He can't, I mean, even when he's got a full staff, he's usually right at full staff.
Yeah, and
And
he'll
he can't let his deputies nor the jailers a lot of times take off to use their paid time off that they've earned or their vacation. mean, he's got several that have on the books, 248 vacation hours that they can't take off.
Oh, I agree, and
So-
only point I'm making is the commissioners are able to use their part-time because they don't have part-time help. So that's something we need to look at. Because they're not able to hire part-time help, I guess.
At times.
Pat can use her archive money, right?
No, not for this, I can't.
To use it for part-time help?
I use it for part-time, but because they're scanning. And if you look at the special, and Gino backed me up, because she's looked at, I mean, if they have to be doing like scanning or,
Oh, I got you.
yeah.
They
It's a
can't be
very,
doing like Chad is of taking payments and all that. They
yeah,
can
the
simply be
my
scanning
regular,
documents
or
and she'll
election
pull it
work,
up.
they can't be doing election work or whatever. Now, they may pick up the phone for me sometimes when nobody's standing there, like if Chad's, I'm over here and like Chad's getting the election equipment ready to be shipped out. The girl I've got over there scanning, I asked her to take messages for me. I mean, they'll do that and I get by with it, but with those designated funds, their main function has to be preserving those records that if we were to, and the whole reason legislation put that in there and that you can't spend it for anything else is because if something was to happen, we were to have a fire or a tornado or anything, those records are gone and they're permanent. So you couldn't Preston is in my office all the time. When you're trying to search oil and gas stuff and find mineral rights, all that would be gone. I have I have some of them and we've been working on them a long time. We've got the vol statistics records, but they would be gone because there's no backup for them because years ago they didn't worry about that. So that's what that money's for, and that's why I have a couple of people. I have one that's doing the old probate records, scan them in, and the girl I hired is doing the old deed records, trying to get them in there so they're backed up off site. So if something was to happen, they're not lost forever because they don't go anywhere else. They don't go to the state archive. They don't get backed up anywhere else because they're just a paper copy.
Like if somebody had to stay over 30 minutes or an hour, instead of giving them comp time or whatever, can't somebody cover for them and let them have off the next day that 30 minutes or hour instead of, instead of trying to, there's really not a reason for a lot of overtime up here, it don't look like to me.
Well, every
Yeah.
once in a while, like this time right here is our busiest time of the year. Because from August to the end of November, I'm busy. I know y'all think that y'all come up here and I hand you a ballot. That is not what happens. And I'm doing the school bond elections. I have a lot of other stuff going on. So I'm tied up doing that. I don't get to do day-to-day stuff. So Chad is having to handle all the day-to-day stuff in my office right now, plus mail out ballot requests and everything else. So I've already told him there's probably you're gonna have to stay late some nights because there's some days we're not gonna get everything done. So that's just the two of us, and we both he knows there's not gonna be time off between now and November. There never is. There never is for me. There never is for my full time. And like I said, my other two are a wash. They are there for a specific job. And like I said, like this morning, Chad's out there getting it ready because that truck's going to be here this morning, hopefully this morning, before it gets hot, to pick up the election equipment. It has to be got ready. So I asked the girl that's over there, and she'll answer the phone and take messages for me.
I'm gonna suggest something that we've never done before, but a way that we can do that, to offset that, instead of trying to give the sheriff X amount, commissioners X amount, we can take some leftover money in our budget and put it in what's called a contingency fund. And that contingency fund just sits there, it's for whoever, whatever, when they need it. You'll have to come to court and say, yes, I need $3,000 for whatever. Whatever's left in that contingency budget goes back to the general fund. So instead of, the reason I'm suggesting that, instead of y'all trying to figure out what you want, the sheriff trying to figure out what he wants, Pat and her situation, you can't tie anything to it, but you can put a number up here in your budget.
Yeah, because we really don't have, I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't interrupt. I mean, we know, take this year, the governor's already put nearly a whole week of early voting on us. So that is a whole nother, so we don't, and who knows what other changes he'll make before the end of the year. before we get to the election, but with elections, you don't, it just depends on, everything has to be done, elections can't be put off. Some things can be put off till the next day, some things in my office have to be done that day, you can't go home, they have to be done that day.
What kind of dollar figure are you looking at, Judge?
That's, of course, your call, but, we've got, what, 84 right now? But we're gonna have some money left over if the proposed budget is approved. So, I mean, we could put 25, 30,000, we're gonna have enough room in there.
I don't think we need near that much money in there.
Yeah, but if that number's, well, if it's not left over, of course, it falls back in your account. All I'm saying is, whatever number y'all decide is up there. And you have a hand that you wanna pay out under the comp time rule, or even Pat's situation, the
Yeah,
sheriff's
I just-
situation. That number, you have to come to court and say, this is what I need, so it's gonna be, it's not like you can just pull from it, nobody knows about it. There'll be strings, but I'm just saying, there's no way we can tie each individual department and give them an amount of money, cause we don't know what that's gonna be.
And with what you were saying, I think the time clock's gonna put it, it's gonna keep it honest. That helps reassure you in a way, the time clock will
It
keep that
helped,
honest.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it helped my
Sometimes-
office keep up with everything.
Rather than adding the line item for each department, I mean, up here, I do think that we can, adjust and use the comp time. We've been doing that, and it's been kind of
Well,
working.
and even for the
But the
commission,
sheriff, I really feel like the sheriff needs to be able to just pay his overtime out.
So the people in the courthouse are in a little different situation than the sheriff's department or the county
Yeah.
precincts are.
And-
Cause we may have to go out, we're gonna ask the weather, if it's on a Friday or Saturday, or if the fire
Right.
department calls at night, it's a different situation,
Exactly.
Punching in
that's-
and punching out.
And that's
you
where
know.
I was just gonna go to next with the courthouse offices is, I know there's been a couple of times that I know a couple offices have, had an attorney call, I know Kenny Maxwell's called before and said, hey, I'm coming, I need this. And they've stayed and waited to do what he
Elected
needed.
official doesn't get it, we're talking about.
Or there's
employees.
been a person called to Angie's office and said, I need to pay this ticket, I'm on my way to pay a ticket, well, she could be ugly and say, no, you come back Monday, we're closed.
yeah,
But they've stayed
that
and
can
to
be
collect
handled,
that money,
can be handled
and that
at
might be on a
comp time.
Friday.
There's not a dollar number for that.
Yeah,
And they can pay over the phone also.
they can, sometimes some people don't have credit card ability, though. They've got cash, there's some people that don't bank, don't trust banking. So there are a few exceptions.
So, what do you guys wanna do on comp time?
I'm good with Gina's suggestion about the bumping up the hours to the 80 hours.
And letting that carry for the 90 days.
For 90 days, and then we'll have to pay it out, or,
Yeah, I
within
feel like
90 days.
the courthouse inside offices can handle that and manage that, they've been doing it.
I don't know, it's a short notice, and if you're tied up to one hand though, and guess we're gonna pay it out, we can make that work, but it looked like if the labor board says we can do it within a year, we can do it like up to October 1st, that way you don't have to worry about carrying it over though. Can
Yeah,
we do something like that?
technically, it has to be paid back, I mean, that's another thing that has to be tracked. I'd have to go, was this earned in February, it's gotta be used before February of the 26 pay periods. Was this earned in November? That adds a whole new beast of tracking and keeping track of when it was earned, when was your deadline,
So, we currently have 40.
It says 90 days, currently,
No, I meant-
currently, it says 40 hours and 90 days. I'm suggesting to let them carry 80 hours and 90 days, or we buy it back.
And why did you come up with 80? I mean, what's the,
Just because I see some that, they get down to, Kevin, he's precinct 4, has only one, for 2 months, didn't have a helper. He might earn up to that rather than use it, cause you can't take it off. I know Preston's kinda been in the same boat No, Dexter has two. I think the only one that's kind of kept continual, stable employees has been Gordon's. You know, he's got two guys that have stayed.
But we've also got to not write down like pencil whip the time cards too and have exact, when we do comp time right now, every time we need exact, like, you clock in at
Yeah.
8:58 or.
Time clocks will take care
Time
of
clocks will
that.
take care of that, but I mean, that's, you know, I know, you know, in the past there's been some trading of, rather than working Monday through Thursday, the guy might took off Thursday, but he came in and he worked Saturday. So it evened it out. That's fine, but that needs to be put on the time sheet like that. But we have to be careful because if they trade off and do Sunday, Sunday falls into the next pay period, and then they work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then technically, even though that guy may be working in lieu of what he didn't work last week, it's falling into the next week, which gives him 10 hours of overtime.
Right.
So all I'm asking is that, you know, do we need a time clock, it's gonna do it for us, so I won't have to worry about that, but cross it.
I'll entertain a motion.
This got to be done today though, get it,
We need it done today.
Yeah,
The-
well, we can actually table it, but here's the problem you're gonna run. There's not but what, 2 weeks left in the budget for next week. So I mean, we can do it, but we need it to put the budget to bed, so it technically can wait till our next court meeting, which will be 3 weeks.
So if we go with this, these changes here, the talking about putting this money back up here in the court, let's do away with that.
Well, that's, the judge and
I'm
me
just-
talked about doing
my
that for
only
the
reason-
officers that don't have that many.
Yeah.
Y'all's you have the part-time things, which I know,
The sheriff really
Bless
doesn't
your
have
heart, you
that.
had to
His
use
is
that
already
one, but-
obligated to deputies or whatever. And it's hard, instead of giving him an amount, giving you guys an amount, which you have in your part-time, let's just put it up here. And when you use it, you come to court and say, I used X amount of dollars, it comes out of contingency.
Yeah.
Charge
And you need
it
to
back
do the
each
buyback.
individual department.
Makes more sense.
It's easier to do, and
Yeah.
it's easier to keep up with. And if it's not used, it goes back into the general fund.
So what are we looking for now, this or that, or both?
I need someone to make a motion to please
I'll make a motion.
approve the suggested policy change.
I'll make a motion to approve the suggestion, policy.
Have a
Change it.
motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Question against, yes or
yeah, I just had
no?
a little problem with this 90-day deal, it's the only thing that's sort of.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
As far as Dexter, what you were asking on the contingency, we can just do that in our budget, which we have a line item to finalize the budget. So that answers that question.
Y'all have a problem with changing that to 6 months instead of 90 days? This will give us a little more time to use that comp time. That seems like an awful short notice if you got 1 or 2 guys out and you're having to use it or pay it out.
I don't have a problem with it, but we just made a motion and passed it.
Okay, let's just go with
I have
it.
a question. How's that gonna affect our department?
I didn't put
Yeah,
any
I did.
changes to the law enforcement's pay overtime. I left it as it is, which you have the option to do comp time and or pay your overtime.
Unless they request comp time, let's do it.
Correct.
Yes. And this contingency will work for you too.
Right.
I mean, you're not gonna have to find if the deputies quit, which we've got now. You're not gonna have to use that money to pay overtime. You can pull it from this contingency. Which is the same thing the commissioners in their part-time have. Does that make sense? All right. Fisher County Fire Department. Start, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Judge. We just want to kind of give a heads up and kind of clarify some things on, since our meeting last Monday, we've had fires every day. Saturday being 3 fires, all pretty well at the same time. We did get a compliment on your dozer operator, saying that it was the best operating skills that they've seen, you know, in a long time. Especially, you know, from the forestry service, you know, they kind of get a little rough on some things. And it's hard on trucks, you know, following the dozer path and stuff. But, you know, they did a good job. And, you know, we just want to kind of give a heads up and kind of clarify some things on, on some things. And it's hard on trucks, you know, following the dozer path and stuff. But, you know, we like I said, we've had fires every day this week, and 3 being Friday, or Saturday. And so we're probably gonna be close to our budget. I know we're getting new money, come October and stuff, but just give you a heads up that we may be getting close, you know, so. But there was also talk on, I know last meeting about trucks and stuff. We just kinda wanna give you some prices, just to kinda give you a heads up on that, if at possible. You know, the mini pumper that the county bought back in the 80s, was to cover the rural areas and other towns of the county. Nowadays, the mini pumper itself is around $265,000 for one truck. You go to a large brush truck, it's $210,000. Quick Attack, which is the smaller truck, the F-550, 5500 Dodge 5500, or, you know, smaller, you're looking at $161,000 to $168,000. And I mean, your tank size gets a little bit smaller. But just the truck chassis that we looked at before, just to get a price on it, is around $65,000 to $68,000 just for the truck chassis. And then everything else is just, you know, add on as far as tank and pump and all that.
If you will see me after court, I'll put you in contact with our COG. And there's a lot of grants out there for rural fire departments. I don't know if y'all explored that or not, but I'll be glad to help you with that.
We applied for grants for the last 5 years and been denied every one.
It's
Well,
just-
They have grant riders, and that's the reason I'm seeing.
They help
that.
apply for that, don't they?
Do what?
They help apply for those grants?
Yes. And that's only for the 19 counties, so they're used to dealing with stuff. I'm just saying that's an option. I'll
Yes,
be
sir.
glad to
Yes,
help
sir.
you with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's just, you know, some of our grants are just, you know, 3 to 5 years, you know, that we can apply for again and stuff. You know, it's just tough.
And after last week, I don't know if anybody told you, but I guess we've increased your fuel from 2,500 to 10,500 for this coming year. Equipment, 2,500 to 13,000, if they approve the budget, so. And we'll offset any fuel costs that you use.
Right. Yeah, I just want to give a heads up and kind of clarify that a little bit, so. All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Did y'all have some trucks towed in over the weekend?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We had one truck on Saturday go down, and it had to be towed in. I mean, we towed it in ourselves. But we also had our Fast Attack, go down with a turbo issue and air conditioning problems. So,
Y'all got it back though?
yeah, we got it at the station, but it's out of service right now until that gets fixed.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, purchase of dozer trailer, shared by the precincts, Mr. Pickett.
A dozer and a trailer, I think is what that said.
We did.
And that goes back to the fire department. We went out with our dozer with the fire department Thursday and broke down about an hour after we got there. So it's not dependable at all. The trailers we got are just junk. The trailer's gonna run around 35,000 for a good trailer that all 4 precincts can share, and we all have trailers we could sell to put the money back in wherever it goes. A dozer, we took several bids on them. I don't have none of mine with me, but do you have any?
It ranged from 165,000 for a used one under 500 hours, up you can get a new one, 2019, about 194,000. Just depends if you want a few hours on it, or if you wanna go brand new, and basically the difference is the warranty on it. You're gonna get a couple more years of warranty on it, but you can get extended warranty if you wanna purchase that. I don't know the cost on extended warranty, but.
So what do you think the existing dozer is gonna bring?
And
I don't think we need to sell it because we don't need it. That thing's a lot better for pushing. It's a bigger one. The one when we were talking about getting rid of it before, the one we were pricing was about $275,000. To get one to
Well,
basically
he's
replace
just
it.
through saying he started, wouldn't run, so I mean.
Well, it ran.
But you can
then
Yeah,
it
it's
gets
just not
hot.
Some stuff that you just, it's the one more price is not big enough for. I mean, really,
They offered us 50,000 unless, what, 3 years ago?
if we completely replaced it, I think we'd have to go up to the next size, which would be like another $100,000.
It's gonna cost more to get a bigger dozer, then we can keep that before, it's not gonna bring the 50,000, you trade it in. So you're gonna be a $50,000 savings there.
Okay, here's the magic question, where do we get the money?
We was hoping you'd tell us.
I'm telling you, you ain't got enough money to do it.
Well, I just know the fire we was on, I don't remember how many houses we was around, but the fire got awfully close.
Oh, no.
So I'm just saying, whatever we spend on the dozer is gonna, if it could save somebody's house, it's worth it.
Do y'all have anything that y'all could sell to?
The trailers, we're gonna sell the trailers.
Yeah, if we could get a new equipment trailer, I would,
Donate towards that.
I would be willing to sell mine and put it in the general fund to go towards that.
So what do we look at for financing? I know it's a guess, but
165 plus, you said 35, what you're looking at?
200,000, that's what we get out of the trailers.
200,000 minus whatever we can sell the trailers for and put back in the general fund. I think we've got 2 or 3 we can put to sell. I got one, you say you got one you can
Got
sell?
one that already,
Next year,
supposed to
got
be
one for
180
sale?
days, I'll donate it to.
We can sell
so
3.
roughly what number? What's that gonna bring?
I think it's gonna cost us $200,000, that's just gonna go back in the general fund.
It's gonna cost us to go back in the general fund.
We're gonna, this purchase will cost $200,000, whatever we get out of them will go back in the general fund. We don't have a number on that till we sell them.
No, I'm just asking for an estimate. I mean, you know, kind of what
I-
the trailers worth.
And it's hard to guess right now.
Scott paid 8,500 for mine. It's useless to us, it's 19 foot, you can't load nothing on it. So, that's close as that, I don't know if we can bring near that, but
No, there should,
it's paid
if
for.
you put them all together, you might get 25,000 out of it. Maybe,
So 175.
yeah.
Any way we can wait till next year's budget, think about this, try to put some money together before? I mean, I know you need it, guys, but
Yeah, I'm just thinking more for the county than I am.
No,
myself.
you know, I'm
Might
not
have been an
arguing the
emergency
point, but
situation.
we bought 2 maintainers, bulldozer. I mean, we're just throwing that out there. That's a lot of, I know it costs a lot of money, but
We bought some sheriff trucks too, I believe.
yeah.
That's $100,000, 2 years in a row.
Then we're gonna budget for 2 more, cause they got 254,000 miles.
Is that still in his budget, or is that coming out of general fund for them
What's in
too?
his budget?
Is it in his budget? I thought we was gonna take that out of the general fund. with
You
some
can
motion.
take it out of the general fund, but all you're doing is taking money that we've saved and then budgeting where it makes it look better. We need to be on a cost efficient deal where whatever we're gonna spend needs to be in the budget. That's the reason I'm asking on this dozer. We can budget for it, but how are we gonna pay for it? It's still the same money. I just want it to look for, we're going forward, whatever we decide to use taxpayers' money for, if that's in our budget. If we go back and just start buying stuff, you're gonna make your budget look a whole lot better. And we already did that with IT. We did it with sheriff's cars last year. We spent, what, 400,000? That wasn't budgeted. We can't continue to do that.
We're putting a good bit back in the general fund every year too.
So you are. Do you not want to do that?
Yeah, but we gotta function as a county too.
I understand that, guys, but we're functioning pretty well right now, looks like to me. We bought a lot of new stuff.
We got all kinds of bridge work that we gotta do as in-kind work that we can't do because the bulldozers always
Are
broke
you
down.
getting the grants, Judge?
Mhm.
You are getting a bunch of grants right this year, a couple of grants for that.
Do we need to be budgeting for that grant also? Have we done that in
Grants
years
to do-
past?
Put material on the
I
I
road.
don't
know I
what
wasn't
you
here
did.
last grant y'all had. I was on the
We don't know what the number exactly.
We already got a bill from Grant Works for 30-something thousand, didn't we, or?
Don't know, I haven't seen that.
I think it's on Joy's desk.
I haven't seen it, it's been not been brought to me a number. I think
I
Joyce.
believe we got the bill from them already, and I think that's got to be
Well,
budgeted
that,
for
that
also.
right there is part of my argument. You know, if we just keep buying stuff and then the grant comes, if we're gonna budget for that, things that haven't happened yet. I don't know how y'all handled the last grant, I wasn't here. Y'all paid that back to the general fund? I don't know how y'all did that.
We budgeted for material last time, so much a year. You was here. We budgeted less, cause we just got through with it.
I know, but it was already going
Right.
when y'all did
I
it.
was thinking we budgeted though every year.
I don't think I have a number yet. I think you'll still have to do bids on the cleachie and all that stuff, so if I have a number, I can plug it in, but I don't have a number.
Cause
set
we have to
number.
pay for all the material we used before we get refunded.
I mean, we can amend, we can do I can certify when the money comes in for the grants like I've been doing, and then we know where to put it. I hate to put a number in there and I don't know for sure what that is.
I was just thinking we put like 37,000 or something
We did?
in there. And then, of course, the money was paid back when we got reimbursed, but.
Right.
I put the budget line items in there for the grant. I mean, there's no money in there yet, but we did separate all that out, so they'll be easy to keep up with, but I don't have the exact numbers that you're gonna get yet.
So I'm gonna go back to the sheriff's car, I'm gonna understand now. We agreed to pay for that out of the general fund.
We paid for it last year.
We haven't amended the budget for that yet.
Right, so it's
Or
still,
the
it's still hanging, it hasn't came out yet for the budget.
I thought that was a motion you made when you voted for the
Agreed to it
vehicle.
in court.
Well, I thought if you take the money out of the general fund, you pay for it, then you have to budget for that money?
No, I'm saying we paid for last year,
Right.
for the cars he just got. We paid for them, IT,
But we haven't amended the budget for that.
Right.
We're
So
still short
that-
on those in this budget.
we haven't taken it out to show it on the books yet.
Oh, I got you.
And we did about $400,000 last year in stuff that wasn't budgeted, that's my only point. I don't care how y'all do it, you can do it any way you want to, but we can't budget for this and then go back in and pay $400,000 for something else.
You have to show it.
Yes,
Yeah, I didn't-
because your cash is gonna, you're living on a credit card if we do that. There's no sense in having a budget if we're gonna go on the backside and pay for things that weren't budgeted. Does that make sense? It does in my head, I'm not sure I'm explaining myself.
I understand what you're saying now, I didn't realize that, I just thought if you paid for something, you paid for it, you didn't have to budget for it and pay it back.
That is true, but my point is, we didn't budget for that last year, the budget we're in. And we paid about $400,000 that was not budgeted.
We're only supposed to amend the budget when it's an emergency by the local government code. But we wanna get a habit of amending the budget all the time when it's supposed to be an emergency.
So going forward with the sheriff's card, we put that in this year's budget.
So maybe we better not pay for them out of the general fund and let it budget for them.
We did, it's in our budget. This year. Last year's is one, what she's trying to tell you is, we just haven't adjusted it yet.
We haven't adjusted it. I was waiting until the end of the year.
So, we're back to the bulldozer, what do y'all wanna do on that? If you wanna budget for it, we can, I guess, budget, but it's gonna change.
Well, I
All the
believe all the
minimum
numbers I
going
got
forward.
from Kellen are already set. So I can't really change what they figured for us on that way. So it'd have to be budgeted out of what's in this surplus for this year. And next year, that I might can budget for the payment as far as to, with the tax office for the debt, but this year I can't.
What are we talking as far as years, how long are we talking finance? So we got our
Yeah,
finance.
we got the finance man here, you wanna speak on that, Gordon? Sure. He got some numbers, I don't know, we haven't made a decision on which machine, but
Right, from what I know, the three different pieces of machinery that were sent out, just looking at it on a 5-year basis to $1, they range between $35,000 up to $41,000 annually. But that's with the first payment being structured kind of like we did the graders, where the first payment would be not out in a year, but October. You do have that option as a county, for the type of financing that we do, you can go up to 12 months in arrears. So whenever you take delivery on that piece of machinery, your first payment can technically structure it like this because it puts more principal, down and saves interest over that particular period of time. But the rates, they're pretty much the same as far as, graders that we did. But that's the range on the 165,000 up to the, I think,
194.
194. Yes, sir. So that's kind of the annual payment that you'd be looking at.
So on the 165 and 35, basically.
Gordon,
Yes,
I
sir.
got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the 165, the payment would be like 35,000.
It'd be right at 35,000. I think, when I calculated that, I gave the rate of
35,024.
35,024, and I'll put that as a rate of, 375. I think we did, I'm sorry, 275. We did the graders for 285. So it's a little bit better on interest rate as well.
It'd be paid off in 2024.
That is not including a trailer though, that's just the price of the machine.
That's just the 165,000 for the.
We can make do with what we got on the trailer if we had to.
We can sell what we got and try to worry about buying one we sell, the trailers we have or something.
I got one that we're long. I know y'all sitting here thinking, oh, y'all just wanna spend money, but I'm thinking about the people in Fisher County.
Jordan, I promise.
We've gotta
you,
fight fires, we gotta have something to fight them with.
And I promise you, I'm not,
I'm just, you know,
We fought 3 in 1 week with that bulldozer. We fought 2.
we did one Friday, one Saturday, one
Thursday,
Thursday.
Saturday was the maintainer, but we needed the bulldozer for that. We got the maintainer stuck in there because it's so rough.
Forestry service couldn't come,
Yeah.
cause it was busy, that's the problem, man.
The forestry service up to that first one, they had 3 dozers out there and us 1. All them houses there, there's probably 10 houses right there, right with that fire.
And the thing you got is if it's not dependent when we're having issues with it and it's broke down, they call, we're not gonna be able to go, we're just gonna have to let it burn. You know, if we don't have the equipment available or ready to go at that time.
It's not gonna get no better till the end of September. It never rains in August.
no, guys, I'm not against you, I'm telling
We
you,
got a
this
month of
is y'all's decision.
holding our
I'm
breath,
just-
hoping nothing happens.
I'm worried with this wind money, I said it last week, I'm gonna say it again. Just because we got it, doesn't mean we need to spend it all, because what's scaring me, is the 10 years and that's it. Hopefully, yes, we're gonna get some more, but it's over in 10 years, it's not like tax and property. I just want y'all to be aware of that going forward. Probably not gonna be anybody here left here in 10 years, I hope, no, I'm sure not, but my point being is, we don't need to leave it set up for whoever comes in, or they're upside down, because we went through that in 15. So just be conscious of what you're spending your money